Welcome to the Uncivil Mentality Podcast. I'm Erik Vidal.
And I'm Reilly Kilbride.
Let's go. Let's go. Jay.
Boom, look at him. Look at him.
Damn, Erik.
No,
Damn,
he's got the legit setup, bro.
studio podcast. I see it. No,
Trying.
No.
Oh, so first of all, welcome to the Uncivil Mentality Podcast. Now you're on our platform. We've been on your platform a couple of times.
I love it.
So first of all, welcome. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself for those people that don't know you.
Yeah, so my name is Julian Serrano. I'm a firefighter in South Florida, have been now for almost 11 years. And my sole mission and purpose on this planet is to detest mediocrity and show people what's capable if you apply your mindset and just have a relentless work ethic and just focus on being better every day, right? If you can focus on your goal and the work necessary to achieve that, you are going to set an example, not only of what you're capable of, but what other people can do if they just believe in themselves, right? So with that, Prepare to Fight Fire was born. Prepare to Fight Fire's sole mission is to prepare the person, right? Not even firefighter, the person to be mentally, physically, and emotionally ready for life, the job, and to be the best that they can be showing up on day one or on year 5, right? But just being prepared, right? So being prepared means that you're not going to be caught off guard. You're going to have your stuff in order mentally, physically, and emotionally, and you're going to be constantly improving, right? So prepared does not have a period after it, right? It's a couple periods. You're preparing, like we're always preparing. We're always preparing. We can never be fully prepared. It's like we just can't, right? You go on calls, you run good calls, you learn like, okay, that worked, this didn't work, right? You go and you do training. All right, that worked, this didn't work, right? So we're constantly preparing, becoming better every single day. And that word prepared is super aligned with who I am in the belief of just being better every day.
Julian, first of all, thank you for coming on. You've had me on your podcast before, so I just want to say thank you for that. But when you were talking, the first thing that came to mind is that when you talk about preparing, like we kind of do this, the three of us do this without thinking. We are always preparing. We're always getting ready for game day. We're always getting ready for that call. How do you start to get someone in the mindset of always being constantly preparing? Because that's a switch for some people, and it doesn't always happen all the way. What do you tell someone that needs to start preparing?
Yeah, so it's kind of shifting the thought process perspective and your view on preparation to understanding that you have a lot of areas that need improvement, right? So once you understand and identify the things that we're not good at, or the things that we don't have skill sets in, or the things that we lack confidence in, then every day that's on the forefront of your mind of like, I need to do something to improve this skill set, this confidence, or this goal that I'm trying to achieve. And with that thought process comes, you're always in a constant state of preparation, right? Because you're constantly working in those areas. I think the really big issue with not just the fire service, but the world is we think we're better than what we really are, right? All of us, right? Yeah, we're all of us here, same thing. Right? I think I'm better than I really am.
At times. And sometimes when you're tested, you think, okay, I'm going to perform X, and then it turns out to not work out that way. Or
Right.
sometimes you perform and then you exceed your expectations. So.
Yes, but I think it's conditions dictate that, right? Like what happens if you work a 48 and you come down with the flu, and I get together with you guys and we're going to go train, or we run a bad call and I'm not that high level, like I just am unfazed, right? At that point, like I'm not going to meet the level that I usually will. And at that moment, I'll feel like, man, I'm not as good as I thought I was.
Right.
Right. Also, it's also the thought process of who are you surrounding yourself with, right? And we'll dive into that, right? Of course, you're badass, or you're strong, or you're the best when you work with people who aren't constantly preparing, right? Like right now in this studio, in this conversation, I wouldn't say I'm the best. I would say I'm striving to be the best, but I would not say I'm the best, right? I feel like both of you guys push me mentally, physically, emotionally, and I have something to learn, right? With that entering that type of environment provides exponential growth because everybody is on another level. Most people surround themselves with people that they can either bully or they can fool with their words of what they want people to think they are versus what they really are. And the unfortunate situation we have right now in the fire services is we're not running those high priority calls anymore, right? So it's not like FDNY in the 70s where you were going to 5, 6 fires a shift. You can really quickly understand the type of person you're working with when you work one fire a shift, let alone 3 to 4, right? Are they hardworking or are they lazy? Do they do things right or do they take shortcuts? Do they complain or are they positive? Now, relatively for most of the nation, there are a lot of medical calls, man. And not that medical calls aren't challenging. It's not going to challenge you like working a fire. So that's kind of where my thought process is. Doesn't make it right.
Okay, without divulging any secrets from your course or the services that you provide, how do you get someone to have the wherewithal or to be able to recognize their like so-called weakness or a deficiency, or is there like a test that you run them through, or is it a
Yeah, no,
questionnaire, or
there's no secrets, brother. It's an assessment. It's
okay,
an
there you go, assessment. Okay.
assessment. So the first thing I recommend anybody do, like today or tomorrow, is do an assessment, a physical assessment. All right, something that's simple. Set a clock. This is the exact assessment I run all of my clients through for prepare to fight fire. You do 5 exercises, all calisthenic based, with a 2-minute working window and a 2-minute rest. All right, so the exercises start push-ups for 2 minutes straight, as many as you can do. 2-minute rest, 2 minutes of burpees, 2-minute rest, 2 minutes of up downs, 2-minute rest, 2 minutes of lunges, 2-minute rest, 2 minutes of squats. All right. So run that. Then you have a 2-minute break right into a 1.5 mile run. Okay. So if you do that workout with a 5-minute rest between those sets, your numbers are going to be exponentially higher because you have time to recover. In this succession, it is intended to humble you, right? It's
Got
intended
it.
for you to think, hey, I'm gonna crush it. Listen, man, it's gonna be tough to crush, right? Even for myself or guys that are, just gangsters. Like it's gonna be tough. So that does 2 things. One, it provides a baseline, and
Dude,
2, it provides we got work to do.
sure.
So now we both, as a coach and as a client, understand this is where you are, this is where you want to be. This is what we got to do
I
together.
think a lot of people operate by just their brain telling them they're good, or there's no actual data. What that does with that test or any type of test like that where there's numbers, it's really hard to argue with that. So if you
100%.
only do 15 push-ups in 2 minutes, it's kind of hard to argue that how much of a rock star, or you can just, like you said, see the holes, like see your weaknesses and then improve on those. I love data. Like I love numbers. I've workouts logged from 10 years ago. That's what kind of like nerd I am of
I love
things
it.
like that. But you have to track or have to have some type of system in place where there's numerical data that shows if you're getting better or you're getting worse. And that's just for science. That's not for like personal gain or anything like that.
100%. And the biggest thing is that's just accountability from your fitness, right? That's just accountability from fitness. The biggest thing that we really hold ourselves with a high regard and prepare to fight fire is that we want to change your habits, right? We want to change your mindset because that's more important than numbers on the fitness board. Numbers on a fitness board are going to change if you follow a regiment specifically, you know, created to change your stamina, strength, and endurance, right? It's simple science. You're going to train, and those 3 energy systems are going to improve, period. But if your habits aren't aligned with your goals, there's going to be much more adversity, much more roadblocks along that path. And that's where we really find success with helping people is we want to change your mindset. That's the biggest thing with Prepare to Fight Fire. Fitness is going to come, your physique is going to come, your understanding of nutrition is going to come, but the biggest change is mindset. And like I say, to tell everybody I talk to, we're one of the few professions that we don't just get to say, you know what, Erik, like we tried our hardest today, man, but just wasn't enough. Like, just go home. Like, no, if there's a working fire and there's stuff going on, we have to complete the task. The objectives need to be completed. May not be the first due cruise, maybe the second alarm, third alarm. I mean, look at 9/11, right? Both of the buildings came down, and in other professions, most people would say, "Hey, let's take a time out here. Let's come back tomorrow." And that's not what happened, right? The buildings came down, and quickly there were more people from across the world that were there moving rubble to see if we could find anybody that died that day. So in the fire service specifically, we don't get to say, "Hey, we'll come back tomorrow."
It's no good jobs or participation trophies.
Yeah, like we have to figure this out. We have to achieve this objective, right? And by we, I mean, the department you work for, the crews showing up that day. But that mindset is a lot broader than just, your typical 9 to 5, or I mean, any other profession. I really don't see any other profession that, like, you were in a car accident at 2 a.m. Like, you don't just leave because we didn't get to extricate the person. We've got to get them out. Like, there's no, oh, did you guys get, no, of course we got them out. Now, depends on how long you get them out, that, dictates how they come out of that call. But there's no difference in a structure fire, right? There's no medical calls are a little different. You take them to the higher level of care. But when it comes to extrications and fires, we're it, right? Like, that's there's nobody coming out of the sky to save anybody. It's just us.
So with I've seen your motto, luck favors the prepared, right? Is that fair to say that that's your motto? And then with preparation meets opportunity, it equals success. So how important the emphasis on prepared? Can you dive into a little bit? What does that mean to you, being prepared and showing up prepared, and the mindset of preparedness?
Yeah, it's just truly understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve and the work associated with that goal. It's very easy for us here to talk about what we want to do. Let's just say promote to chief, make $1 million, have a 6-pack. We can all ha ha he he talk about those things, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy, right? But what we really have to distinguish is how much work is it going to take to become a chief? How much work is it going to take to make $1 million? How much work is it going to take to get a 6-pack, right? And what does that work actually look like? With that, the preparation begins. So
Planning.
when you look, the planning, the showing up day in and day out,
Showing up.
and you have to still understand, and that's the thing is, I do believe in luck, because we could all prepare at the highest level and still come up short.
Facts.
So who won? The lucky one, right? We were all prepared. One of us got lucky, right? One of us had a good day, slept 8 hours. I mean, whatever you want to say, you know what I mean? But the luck is real, man. That is a real thing. I'm being serious, right?
Is it a manifestation, or just
sometimes working
probability?
is not enough, right? There's the program that I went through that changed my life, Florida Smoke Divers. Right?
Okay, let's dive into smoke divers. Come on.
So that program, preparation is not enough. Sorry, right? Everybody that's been through it will take a true. There'll be a true testament that they'll tell you that preparation is not enough. You don't stand a chance without preparation, but just because you prepare does not mean you're going to be successful. So this is what I love about it. This is what I love about audacious goals. This is what I love about pushing the envelope like you guys do. It doesn't matter, right?
Mhm.
Were we successful? Were we unsuccessful? Doesn't matter. Were we prepared? We were, but we were unsuccessful. What does that mean? We need to be more prepared, right?
Yeah.
Back to the drawing board. So that's where shifting the mindset to why are you doing what you're doing? Like, what is the true reason of the goal that you have? Is it just to say, like, I'm a smoke diver? Because if it is, you're going to have a tough time achieving that goal with that shallow reasoning of just saying, I want to be a smoke diver. Right? Because the people that I know that are way better firemen, that are smoke divers than me, that have gone through the program and failed countless times, are way better than I am because of their failures. And not only are they better physically on the fire ground, their mindset is way stronger, right? Like to have a man fail and keep showing up, right? And I'm here again today. I'm here again today. That's what it means to be a smoke diver, right? A smoke diver is somebody that on a fire till their last breath, they're gonna fight. And if on that fire things go to shit, the next time they go to a fire, they're gonna be better. They're gonna take away stuff from that fire. They're gonna grow. They're gonna train harder. They're gonna come back better. And if that fire goes bad, they're going to do it again. And every time they show up to another fire, they're going to be better, right? So that's just what it is understanding, like, why are you doing what you're doing? Okay, cool. Now understand that preparation is not enough. That's okay, because we're not in this thing called life just for success, wins, claps. Oh man, did you hear about this? It's about like the process. It's about the journey. It's about like truly embracing the lessons that come with the experience. Because if we all want to experience something, we're all going to have different takeaways. If we're all successful, we're going to have the same takeaways, and that's not going to happen. You're going to be successful, I'm going to fail. You're going to be successful, I'm going to fail, right? Until I'm successful, then you fail. Then I have a different takeaway, then you have a different takeaway. And that's the purpose of life, right? I think now with social media, it's very easy to show success 24/7, win, 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 win. And you may be winning a lot. Like, shout out to all the people on social media in the world that are crushing it.
Yo, I'm losing way more than I'm winning these days. I'm taking L's a lot. So, but within the L's, there's wins and there's victories too. But if I would say if you're not putting yourself in the position to lose, are you in the right position?
Right. 100%. Yeah. I mean, look at Michael Jordan, man. He literally got cut from the basketball team. Like, that right there is just the testament of the human spirit of just showing up again, right? And not letting failure stop you from doing what you want to do. So I know we got kind of on a tangent
Well,
with
here's a question that I want to ask you. It was actually a great segue. Who were your sports idols as a kid? Like, what kind of sports were you into, and like the athletes in sports that you wanted to emulate as a kid?
man, that's interesting. And I'm gonna be super transparent. I wasn't, right? It wasn't until I became older that I kind of got into sports. Um, I really admired like people that I grew up with over sports. So like my godfather, who's a chief, admired him. My dad's my superhero, right? Um, because they were there for me. They showed me like what it means to be a badass, what it means to be like a man, what it means to be a fireman, what it means to come from nothing and make an awesome life. So growing up, I didn't have that like, oh, I want to be like LeBron James, or like, I just really didn't. I had real role models in my own personal life that God blessed me with, because
That's a blessing, brother. That's what I was getting ready to say, man. That is truly a blessing.
I'm I'm forever grateful, and I don't know what I did to deserve it, because I do know that that's not common, right? But with that being said, I would not be who I am today without my dad. without my mom, and without key people that have invested in me. Um, and those are my superheroes, really. Uh,
I always say that if like Tom Brady and Michael Jordan had a baby, it would be my mom. Like that's who my hero was. Yeah, she's awesome, and that resonates to me as well. It's like family; they teach you a lot more than you think, especially when you grow up. You realize the lessons that they put into you without even trying. You know, it's funny the things that you learn inherently without a lesson. You know, when you see things and you see habits and you see character through time, through long distance of time, like your entire childhood, and you get those traits. And it always makes me smile when someone's like, you know, you're a hard worker. And I'm like, well, I know who I learned that from. You know, like when you like, wow, you're really, you know, you're dedicated. I know who I learned that from. You know, those traits don't just show up. You learn those over long periods of time from close family and relatives. So that's cool, man. I'm glad the way you framed that question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And for people who don't have that, like, understand that there's positivity in that as well, right? When you don't have that, you now have an opportunity to be that, right? So I have now a responsibility to be better than my dad, better than my godfather, better than my mom, to my family, to my kids. And just like when I got into the fire service, I'll never forget my first mentor told me, you'll learn more with people who don't do the right things than you will with people who do the right things, right? And that'll truly show the type of person you are, because when you're working with people who don't do the right things and you're there for the right reasons, it will bother you. And those experiences you'll never forget. And when you get into a position where you are in a leadership role, or you just have time on the job and you say, like, I'm not doing it that way because it's not the right way. And I work with somebody who did it like that and it wasn't cool. Right. So kind of the same thing with being that person for the future.
Another big thing I think we can help people with is, especially in the workplace, in life, is how do you deal with conflicts? Like, how do you how do you deal with those things, man? Because there you can't avoid those, you know, especially with a very strong personality. What's your strategy to deal with conflict on the job, off the job?
That's a good one, dude. That's a good one. Stuff.
I've been thinking of some good questions I wanted to ask you because I love your responses. Like I truly listen to a lot of the stuff that you say and you take time to think about it. So I ask the questions that I want to hear answered, you know?
No, that's solid. So with recent events, and Eric knows this, um, I've come to understand that you always get more with honey than you do with salt, right? So usually when somebody, I don't create conflict. Now, there's two situations, right? You're in a conflict that you created, or you become associated with somebody who created the conflict. And now you're both in it. For me, man, I try to find common ground with everybody. But now I have a new approach that I'm trying to truly embrace. And that's coming into every room, trying to relate with every person, right? And trying to show them genuinely that we are no different, man. Like if you're throwing out the trash, I'm throwing out the trash. If you're cleaning the bathroom, I'm cleaning the bathroom. Like, we are the same, right? I'm here to help you in every way possible. What I do and who I am plays no factor into what you and I are about to get into, right? Business, smoke divers, athletics, mindset, financials, religion, none of that matters. Like, it truly doesn't, right? At the end of the day, I want you to trust me. I want you to believe that I care, and you're gonna know that I'm positive, right? I'm just a positive person. I'm not gonna be negative. It's hard. It's really hard because the guys in the military talk about it all the time. And Eric, I want to hear your perspective on this because you probably have a good one. Riding the line between confidence and arrogance,
Mm,
right? Right, that's
it's a
tough.
tough line. It's a tough line.
It is.
But you also have to understand who's in the room. Because if it's us, we have a meeting and we all send it, none of us are going to say, man, the guy's arrogant. Like, no, dude, these guys, we all work hard. Like, that's confidence. I would never get offended. I would never have any ill remorse on your guys' energy or input because I know how much you guys care. Now, put us in another room with people who aren't as confident, people who don't put in the work, and you deliver that same message, that could be taken as, who does this guy think he is? Now, in our room, I know who you are. You know who I am. I know who you are. You know who I am. We all know what we're capable of. That's why there's never a question of that guy's arrogant. No, that guy's willing to die right now. Like, that's the reality of it, right? And maybe super far-fetched, but that's how I feel about things, right? Is I'm in it to win it, man. I'm all in, right? Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Like, that's my mindset. That's a very, very, very unique mindset. So now, with this new approach, shout out to Dylan Curtis with Briggs Company. That guy's the truth. We had a long conversation, and he was able to break it down very simply. Would you be able to relate with you if you weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's tough. He's like, okay, now imagine the person coming in, because we got to bring in like actual reality. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, how tall are you? I'm like 6'2". He's like, how much do you weigh? 225. He's like, all right, so now bring that person plus this animal of a human being walking in a room. Like, it's very, very hard to relate. So now the approach is like we talked about, trying to find that common ground and truly showing you that, like, hey, you and I are the same, man. Like, I'm no different than you. I'm here to work, and we have a common goal, whatever that is for the moment. Let's crush it together.
I got two things to share on that perspective. So I've walked into rooms in CrossFit competitions and I've been overlooked. I haven't even been acknowledged. And then as soon as I started working, they were like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, where did he come from? Who is he representing? How did we not know about this? How did we not hear about this guy? So that's number one. Number two, I've heard it all. Oh, he's cocky. Oh, he's arrogant. He's like, you don't understand. Like, he's insufferable, etc. And that's because I've been misunderstood. You don't know where it came from. You don't know what I've had to deal with. You don't know the red tape or the obstacles I had to overcome to even be in this room. So of course I'm gonna walk a certain way, talk a certain way. Um, that aura when I walk into a room, I've heard it. Yo, man, I felt your presence when you walked into the room. Like, okay, well, I ain't shit, right? Like, I can't resonate with what you're saying because I don't feel that from other people. So yeah, I've heard it in training. Oh, but this is one of the things that gets to me, and I've been told this. Um One of my classmates told me, "Hey man, I just thought you were like the most arrogant, cocky motherfucker to like be in the class." It wasn't until you started speaking or started telling your story that I understand why you had to walk a certain way, talk a certain way, be a certain way. Because I always wanted to be first, and I always wanted to have the fastest time. I always wanted to be the best. There's no question that when it's time to do the POs, which are the personal objectives, like I'm gonna show up prepared, and I'm gonna do work, and I just wanna be the best. That's it. And it was so hard for the layman or people to understand why I wanted to be the best, because I don't want to be questioned. If there's one thing that you could have 100% accountability, is your output. The work that you put in is, the time on the board or whatnot. That's directly related to the amount of work that you put in, and then you reap the benefits of either the fastest time or the accolades that come with it. So I'm aware of this. I can control my fitness. I can control, how many reps I get in. Extra time on the weekends, I'll go to the training center and I'll put the reps in just to be comfortable and be better than what I was. And people didn't understand that.
I
So,
think that what the combination of what you guys are both saying is that the ability to have a servant's heart but a competitor's mindset. Like we're here to help and to, facilitate growth with other people, but my mind says I want to win and I want to be great and I want to do well in what I'm doing, and we don't know how to half-ass anything. We're built here. Our purpose here is to help others, but our mind says we want to be the best, which I think is a very dangerous combination, but can be misconstrued. It is a personality that can be seen as cocky, or I'll never be like them, or I can't relate to them. People see that and they're almost, I don't know, you feel like their insecurities are brought to the surface level, and that's why they throw the stone. The guy that sits from the cheap seats, it's easy for him to criticize the man in the arena. Like I love that. But it's if people know you, and what Erik was saying, like once he knew your story, or Julian, once people know your story, it's hard not to root for y'all. Like y'all are fucking solid dudes. And if they took the time to know who you guys are and like where your heart is, and a lot of things that you do, no one's gonna have. If you have a problem with that, something's wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's just, I know both of you, and our personalities can be very strong. But if you give us a chance, I'm pretty sure you'll be rooting for us by the end of the conversation.
well, to now where like, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, my bad. But just let me say this right quick. Now that I've gotten older, and I've been humbled by life, now I've digressed a little bit with my, I guess, aggression, or my abrasiveness. When I speak, I'm a little bit more subtle, or just a little bit more like mellow, I guess, or nonchalant. And I treat people how I want to be treated. I welcome the rookies into the fire service, which is our department, right? This is our department. This is ours. We got to take care of it. We got to leave it better than we found it, and put everything back in its place. So, treat people how you want to be treated, or especially like the probationary officers, like be that type of mentor that you needed when you were on probation, or when you were a rookie. And I guess I can't go beyond those words.
Yeah. We can't forget, and this has been my developmental process throughout this. I've I've done things wrong, right? I've made mistakes. I've instructed incorrectly. I've said things that weren't appropriate, right? And all of those things, I want everybody to know I've taken to heart in becoming better, right? And it does. You said something, right, that's super interesting, right? It's super, like, it does no good for any of us to be the best and not work well with others, because we don't do things that involve the man in the arena. Like, that's not what we do. We have a team in the arena. Now, the unfortunate part is we don't get to pick our team. Right? We show up to work and we got who we got. So now it's no different than back in the day when we had to pick up a civilization and move across the country, right? It did no good for you to, you know, demoralize somebody or put people down when that person is good at something that you need their help with, right? And as much of a badass that you are, it's also your job to have leadership qualities that brings the best out of that set person. That's your job, right? Your job is not to make them as good as you are. And that was something I struggled with for a very long time, right? And now I don't want anybody to be Julian. I just want you to be the best you can be, right? And that expectation has been dropped as well. Now I want to approach, converse, and communicate to the point where you want to be the best because you want to do it, not because I want you to, right? Because when I leave, what do? Versus the experience we have, man, I never thought of it that way. And I worked with Julian, and now, like, I go about things a little bit differently. Like, that's a good leader, right? You work with somebody, they leave an impact on you. It's not how badass they were, it's how they did things that, like, kind of stays with you.
It can even be like something very small. I was laughing with my engineer. We don't use canola oil on our shift anymore. Like little
Good.
things like that. Like it doesn't have to be some grandiose like mindset shift. You can affect people on a very small level and hopefully help them with their health journey. He's not using terrible oils when he cooks his food at a house. Like that, for me, that's a huge win, you know,
100%.
just to even change his lifestyle just a little bit like that. So I think the changes that you make on people don't have to be, you might have some where you know, open up their dimensions of what's possible in the realm of possibility. But some people, it could be just being nice, being
Hmm.
kind,
Yeah.
being a good dude. It doesn't, and that's not hard. It's not hard
Yeah.
for us just to be nice, to be kind, to show up and just be, you know, a good dude. And that, I think that's a 80% of our job sometimes, especially dealing with our crews, just being
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Simple.
shout out to Ryan Fisher. Ryan Fisher runs chalk performance training. He's not a firefighter. He's
I know
just
this guy.
he's a solid dude. But nonetheless, he said something in a podcast the other day, and it really stuck with me. When you meet someone, interact with somebody, work with somebody, when that timeline is finished, right, expired, and you guys go your separate ways, they have an opinion of that experience. I never want that experience to be, oh, hey, I heard you worked with Julian. How was it? "Oh, I was all right." Like that to me is like a pitting feeling in my stomach. Like I want every experience that I have with any human to be great, not good, not okay, great, right? And that's hard. It's hard. It's really hard because that means everything I show up to, I got to show up the best version of myself. Will that always happen? I can't make that promise, right? I'm not. It's just the reality of it. But now, when I am engaging with other people, that's at the forefront of my mind of like, hey, I want them to say like, Julian's awesome. It was great.
Hmm.
Not it was whatever. Right.
That's a hard
That
expectation.
sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
And you gotta
You
show up
can you
every
can do
single
your
day.
best,
Yeah.
but you know, I can be held accountable for what I bring to the table, but the other half of that interaction is also has to be, you know, there has to be accountability there as well. So I can
Absolutely.
only meet you halfway if you want to meet me halfway. And,
100%.
I'm not saying that try to be like an asshole, but nothing. I've been called, and people have kind of like called me out on this before, is that you're almost overbearingly nice. Like my being nice and being genuine, and that's truly who I am, seems disgenuine. Like not, you're almost so nice that you're fake. I'm like, dude, that's just who I am. Like I'm not putting on a show. This is not for you. I do this for, you know, the old lady at the grocery store. I do it for everyone. So this isn't a show. It's just who I am. And that sometimes have caused like friction between me and people. So yeah, I don't know really how to solve that one, but it's happened. So
Not everybody deserves 100% of us.
mm.
That's another thing of having the awareness, the emotional intelligence of understanding, like engaging with somebody and immediately understanding they're negative. Like you're having a conversation or you walk into a room, you know they're negative. If you come in and do jumping jacks of positivity, that's not going to work out well. Right? So at that point, you just got to meet them where they are and like that's it. But like if you walk in a room and somebody's open to becoming better, oh, 100%, right?
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, or like you said, treat people like you want to be treated. You know what I mean? Nice. Even if they don't, and that's the thing that I really, really love that about life. And it's so true. And I hate to see it with people. And life's tough. Life's hard. But people that change because of what happens to them and the way people treat them, right? Like you should never change. Like if you're really, really nice and like you're a good person, if you get fucked over 6 times, like, no, I mean, I'm thinking serious. Like, they fucked you over. You didn't fuck them over. Like, you're
Mm.
a good person. But then now you're like, oh no, well, I got fucked over 6 times, so now I'm gonna fuck people over.
That's tough to
Yeah.
come back from too. That
Yeah.
like being jaded in that way, man.
Yeah. I mean, then that has to go with like psychological like abilities to cope or those coping mechanisms or techniques
Tough,
and how to like,
tough.
it's not easy. It's not easy by no means. I want to
Especially
ask
if it's the
you,
same person fucking you over each time. Sorry, Eric.
no, all good. Well, I mean, how is it? If you fool me once, shame on
Shame on
On
me.
me, fool
Yeah.
me twice, shame. We can't be fooled, people. We
Yeah, the
can't be
George, but
fooled.
you can't be getting fooled all the time.
Can't be fooled all the time. Yeah, so there's that. So Jay, biggest lesson thus far that you've learned in your life? Like, if there's one thing that this is what you want to be remembered for. This is like my ultimate advice, and this is the one. Like, is there one that you could share with us, or give to the audience?
Yeah, 100%. And that's a great question, man. So, like the biggest thing each person on earth has to realize is that we're here for a short amount of time, right? So we're here for a short amount of time. We think, just like we think we're better than we are, we think we have more time than we really have. All right. So stop delaying things, man. Like just what do you want to do? What are you doing to achieve that? Period. And whatever it is you don't want to do, don't do it. Like, I think we live in a world now where we're pleasing and serving everybody and not taking care of ourselves, right? Us in the fire service, there has been this year, don't quote me, 27 to 30 line of duty death of firemen, right? Now, I'm pretty sure 30% of those were medical problems on the way to work or going home. So, like, let's just ballpark it and say 18 people died inside of a structure fire. We'll say 20, right? These are not accurate numbers. So anybody listening to this podcast, don't come after me. Like, this is just a ballpark. It's a presentation. Stand by. There has been 27 suicides in Florida this year, right? Now, I think there's a number of reasons for that. But what I know is that most people say yes to everybody else and don't have anything for themselves, right? They don't pour their cup, like they have nothing in their cup. They're empty, right? It's just like showing up to this podcast tired or drunk or just not here to give, right? It's energy. We only have, and I don't want to get woo-woo, but we only have so much energy, right? And if you don't have energy for yourself to give, to be better, to achieve the goals you want, what are you really doing, right? Because the life we live, like, it's going by fast, like really fast. So like stop delaying the things that you're delaying. Like just get after it, man. Do work.
That's cool. I think some of the best advice that I got was from my grandmother before she passed away is that people have to be able to trust you and you do what you said you're going to do. Like those are the two things that just like in the top of my mind, like that, those are super important to me. Like
100%.
trust, doing what you said you're going to do. Like that really handles a lot of problems if you just do those two things. And no, that was solid intel. And I hope people are really listening to this. I want to take a second to say that the two people that I'm sitting here talking to, like you guys really speak wisdom into people's lives and including my own. So yeah, that's a responsibility you guys carry, but you do so well with handling that I truly am grateful for you two for just speaking things into existence and doing that. Like pushing people to do the things that they want to do is you can't measure that. Like that's a big thank you from just for me personally, and I guarantee that there's more people out there that you've inspired and got going and got out of that rut and just yeah, thank you. It's weird.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've had the honor of working out with Reilly up in Columbia, South Carolina. So I've met Reilly in person. I've had the honor to work out with Julian Serrano in Florida, which is where we're from. So I've had the pleasure of meeting both of you, and you guys are who you say you are. It took me a couple of times to get a hold of Julian. I'm not gonna lie, but when we finally did touch base, it was like it was so seamless, and the same with you, Riley, man. You made me feel so welcome in Colombia. Uh, I thought it was, you're my friend, man. You're my brother. I mean, so yeah, that's
I'm
pretty
trying to
cool.
get Eric
Just
to move up here.
yeah.
I
Um,
wasn't I wasn't kidding.
I wasn't kidding. Um, yeah, and I want to talk really quick, man, if you guys are okay with it, about what do you do when you don't live up to who you say you are? What do you do when you do fail? What do you do when you fall up, you come up short, like you're not perfect,
Mm.
right? It's tough, right? It's an easy thing to say is, no, well, nobody's perfect. Okay, cool. But when you're somebody who's a go-getter, who's has audacious goals, and you fall short and you have achieved a lot, you are held at a different, your scale is different. So what do you do if that happens?
You wanna go ahead and tackle this, Riley, right quick?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Yeah.
First, man, to be completely transparent, I give myself like a 24 to 48 hours to feel it, to, fuck, man. Like, I had a goal, I wanted to accomplish something. I didn't do it. I came up short. I failed. I feel terrible. I'm just gonna live in it and sit in it. And I think that's important as well, is that people try to skip that first step, is that sometimes you just gotta be fucking sad or fucking pissed off or, because that same feeling that you're gonna feel now is gonna help you. Like I always think about the athletes that stand on the field and watch the other team celebrate. Like that's the shit. Like it's painful to do that. Like it's painful to sit in the sadness of your own failure. It's painful to say that I wasn't good enough to do the thing that I said I was going to do. Like, but you gotta sit in it. You gotta feel that shit, because when you get back to it after that 24 or 48 hour period, you sit down and you audit. You audit what the F did you do? Like what happened? What could have I done to do better? And then you go and you make your plan to get better. You feel it, you do an audit of what happened, how did I feel about it, what could I have done better, and then you make an action plan to improve that. Like feel it, plan it, and then execute. Like that's the constant cycle that when you come up short, that's what you do. That's just what happens. And guess what? We've done a lot of that. I do a lot of that. There's a lot of recalculations and back to the drawing boards, and I fucked up and shit. Let's try to figure it out and learn from it. So don't be afraid of that process, and don't let it deter you from doing the next big thing or having the big audacious goal.
100%. What you got, Eric?
Similar to Riley. First of all, you have to embrace that failure. You have to really like marinate in it, right? And reflect what just happened, what did I go through, why were the results the way they were. Damn, I'm not the person I thought I was, etc. And I've had a lot of those experiences in my life, and where I showed up unprepared, or I took it for granted and I wasn't successful, and I went back to the drawing board, studied, put the uh, time in training, boots on the ground, and hunker down. And it's just to remain resilient, right? And to be like, damn, I failed. I own it. I'm gonna go ahead and train harder, or prepare more, and come out on the other side. But that sense of failure and being defeated, that's a mental mindset thing. Because I've done things and where like, damn, I wasn't successful, but fuck, that was so gangster. Like, I'm so glad I did it. And even though I didn't get first place or second or whatnot, I still like, I'm proud of my performance, man. I mean, that's real. Whatever I did, like I earned that. I did that. And so that failure and defeat, that's like a state of mind. Uh, you hear all these people all the time saying, "Oh, I didn't lose. I just like the time ended," or failure is a state of mind. At least I learned something. I learned a lesson from it. So did I really fail? Did I really lose? No, I don't think so. Um, so perspective is really key in the way you look at things. Clearly, the scoreboard, you win, you lose, but um, for me, am I the person I say I am? That's kind of like one of my biggest motivators and my biggest drivers in life, to prove to myself that I am the person I say I am, and to show up for the people that I care about and love, and to set the example like, damn, I'm doing it, you can do it, because that gives me credibility. And in essence, it gives me some type of validation to what I'm doing, or the things that I've, been doing, and the work I've put in, validates, the results validate um, that training. So, but I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person I I say who I say I am. That's who I want to be. I don't want to be the alternative or the opposite, you know. I was even in Columbus, South Carolina, you know, on vacation and like, damn, am I going to show up? Am I going to be total ass? Like, I'm supposed to be this. Am I not going to be that right now? And so that fear or that sense of is like a fire inside of me, and that motivated me to like push and do and act. So yeah, fear is a motivator as well.
I love
Fuck
that. You
yeah.
guys crushed it. That's good. That's solid.
So I got one more. I got one more that I've been dealing with in my brain and kind of doing some mental jujitsu with is I am struggling right now with, we're always in the constant mindset of preparing. And sometimes you need to stop. You need to pause. You need to rest. You need to, you know, but that time that you spend resting, I'm driving myself nuts that it's time lost. And when it comes to the shit that you want to do, you're gonna look back and say, damn, I this time that I had, I wasted, or it like went between my fingertips, or I spent it doing other things. I just like, how do I mentally, what should be, how should I shift that perspective in a way that is more beneficial for my mental health? Because, you know, I'm driving myself crazy, you know, like, and that's not healthy for me.
Yeah, well, it's kind of no difference than having an injury, right?
Mm.
You have an injury, break a leg, break an arm, um, paralyzed. Let's go to the extreme, paralyzed. There are people who are happy, fulfilled, that are paralyzed, right? So you have to just shift your focus and what you value as progress in what you're doing, right? So, like, let's say you can never work out again. If you can never work out again, would you say your life is like over? No, you would have to change what your next goal is, right? So maybe right now in the time that you are taking the rest, you need to reshift your focus on goals that you've been neglecting that have nothing to do, because life is more than fitness. I love you guys, but it really is a lot of things that we as men need to develop that has nothing to do with a barbell, running shoes, or bunker gear. You
You're
know,
right,
Yeah,
brother.
you're right. You're right. Facts. You're right.
it does you no good to be, bro. My best friend, shout out to Emilio Rivera. He committed suicide. Right, he was the most physically fit specimen I have met to date. I haven't trained in the Olympics. I never went to the CrossFit Games, so those are kind of the arenas that you have the most fittest people on earth. But I have been in this space a little while, and I've trained with a good amount of people.
Yeah, that
And
says a lot.
this
That
guy,
says a lot.
you know, but there's more to life than it. You know what I mean? So just as, and that's the same thing back to the leadership qualities. It does you no good to be a physical specimen and not be able to lead people,
Mhm.
right? That's like, okay, you're great. You're good. You win.
Yeah,
We need to win.
Yeah.
yeah.
A physical
That's
giant, but a mental midget.
or or I've been guilty of that as well. Like I want to be the best. I want to compete. I want to this and that. Like, but what am I doing for we? Like, what am I doing for the collective? Am I making my those around me better? What am I doing? Am I just being selfish? Am I trying to validate what I'm trying to do? You know, and that was just my young perspective. That was just me being young and me having to like, yeah, have a sense of purpose or, you know, that's like an insecurity that I had. And, you know, I've dealt with that, you know, I've been a better man. So,
100%. I'm so proud of you guys, both of you. This is gangster. Guys, whoever's listening to this, you guys have no idea the quality of men that are preaching.
uh,
I'm being serious. No,
thank you,
seriously.
dude.
You guys
Work in progress, brother.
Yeah.
I'm scratching and surviving.
yeah. We live in a world now where critique is at the all-time high and the work is at an all-time low,
Okay.
right?
I'm so
So
glad you brought that up because they persecuted and they crucified the most perfect being known to man on this earth. And so knowing that and having that testament, like who am I? You know, you can't hurt me, dude. Like you can't phase me. You talk all you want about me. And Good. That's cool. But we're gonna keep on doing what we're doing because we know we're doing good.
100%. 100%. You got to look at the richest guy or one of the richest guys, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, whoever you want to look at. They give away billions of dollars a year. Like billions of dollars they give to charities, like all this stuff. And you'll still find people that talk bad about them. Like if I said, Reilly, I'm giving away $1 billion, like how can you put a negative spin on that? Like,
Could have been 2 billion. Selfish bastard. That's what people do, dude. That's
100%.
what.
100%.
Well, I bet he's got more to give away.
Yeah.
Man, this has been awesome. Thank you guys
Yeah.
so much. It's been a while since I've been on the podcast, and I was nervous too, man, coming on. I wanted to definitely meet your expectation of bringing some value and just talking shop with two amazing humans.
And,
Yeah.
and you did that, man. You did that. Thank you so much for your time. Mad respect to you. Man, I'm in your corner. You know, I always show up for you. I want to say that I do that for you. Like I show up for you, you know, even when the days I don't feel like showing up. I know this was one time I didn't show up for you and I still feel bad about it, but
Do you?
nah. Real
Like
quick
I
before we
said-
depart, the U.S. Fire Administration, USFA.FEMA.gov, according to their analysis, firefighter fatalities in the United States as of today, 2024, is 33.
33. But now you have
33
to go
firefighter
in.
fatalities in 2024 thus
Erik,
far.
the qualification of a firefighter fatality in the U.S. Does have the incoming and offgoing shift. So if you get into a car accident going home, that's a line of duty death. If you get into a car accident coming to work, it's a line of duty death. If you have a heart attack like an hour off shift, that's a line of duty death. There's a couple things. So that's why I was saying like firemen that died in fires versus the message was suicide rates through the roof.
Okay, suicide. Yeah, suicide is a big thing. We just had a suicide in our department. It did not go well in the community. This person was a stellar human being, and still they took their own life. I'm not sure if I can say that on our podcast, but you know that's the reality of it. So
Yeah. And don't ever think you're someone to judge someone who commits suicide. Like you're not in any position to judge anybody. Like you're not, right? So it's not as simple as, well, they can't do that, or it's not as simple as that's the easier way out. That's not how this works. It just really isn't. If you look, for the most part, in the fire service, people who take their life are not bad people, right? If you really look at it from a fisheye perspective, you're having someone take their life that at one point said, I want to help somebody on their worst day. Like, let's talk about the quality of human real quick, of who that person is. Like, you decided, I want to be a firefighter. And I think both of you guys, I can agree, and I could probably say with confidence, you said, I want to go into a burning building when people are running out, right? Because that's how I am, and I can relate to both of you. But aside from that, we have the medical calls. We want to be there when somebody needs help. And then that same person takes their life, right? So to equate it to them being a bad person, like, it's not that simple. Not that simple. So just give a little grace to anybody out there that
Yeah, man. It's a job where we fill others' cups so much. Like we have to be there for other people and things like that we often forget about our own cup,
100%.
you know? And it's real sad to think that someone's cup got that low, you know? That one hits me in the feels, man, and I've had suicide in my family, so it's kind of like tough for me to talk about because it hits home. Yeah, but you just have those thoughts. And maybe it's nothing that we could have done. Like there's nothing we could have done. But maybe there was, you know, and you just live with that constant game back and forth. Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't, but man, just shouts out to everyone, you know, that's going through that down in Miami, man. How you can do.
Yeah, 100%. Well, boys, appreciate
Yeah,
you.
well, let's maybe end it on a little bit more positive note, man.
I mean-
Julian, tell us something. Let's get the troops
the
fucking
mantra.
going.
The
Yeah,
mantra.
mantra. What's your
Yeah.
fucking mantra when you're going into a tough workout or you're going into something that you really got to have full presence and full attitude? Like, what are you saying to yourself?
Yeah. So the first thing is that I can do anything for 60 seconds, right? So that's all that matters. 60 seconds. When that 60 seconds is over, we'll revisit what we're doing. Is it the same thing? Okay, I'll do it again for 60 seconds. And that's the mantra that got me through everything I've gotten through in life. The first 100 miles that I ran, I didn't focus on what mile I was on until like, no, specifically 87. I remember because when I thought about what mile I was on and I thought about I had half a marathon left to go, it almost ruined me because the mind can only comprehend so much, especially when it's in a state of exhaustion, right? It gets very fragile. So if you make it very easily digestible, which is 60 seconds, that's it, right? So all I would do in that moment was, doesn't matter how much farther I have, all I have to do is move for 60 seconds. And I literally looked at my watch to the point where I was like, okay, this doesn't matter anymore. Just keep moving,
Mm.
right? And then, you achieve what you need to achieve. Everything comes to an end eventually, right? So yeah, just I can do anything for 60 seconds. That's the
Hell yeah.
simple
I'll,
mantra.
I'll credit Julian with this. He was one of the first people to tell me just focus at the task at hand. Just focus what's in front of you. Don't get too overwhelmed with the totality of the task. Just focus at what you have to do at hand. And even though I've heard it before and in different training situations, whenever he said it, it just clicked. So
Mm.
just focus on what you have to do in front of you. Just worry about the rep or whatnot. Just don't get too distracted or too overwhelmed with like the totality of the circumstance. Just focus
60
at the
seconds.
task.
That's it.
Yeah.
Julian, man, thank you for coming on, brother. We appreciate you. We love you. We're always in your corner. And we got a message for all you fucking haters out there. Guess what? We love you. Sorry, that got a little aggressive, but guess what, dude? We're going to keep doing what we're doing, brother.
So, to all the viewers and listeners out there, the Uncivil Mentality Podcast. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of myself, Erik Vidal.
And I'm Reilly. Kilbride. Get after it. Get in your gear. Start fucking training. It can never be enough.